Hi, so for this week's discussion post, I decided to speak about the second session that we had to watch with the counselor and Mariah. Specifically, I agree that the counseling sessions that we watched, they are actually very similar to what I imagined counseling to look like. Specifically, I noticed that the counselor with Mariah, he has a very warm attitude. He creates a safe space for her as the client, which is can be directly found in chapter 8 of our text, that it explains that the first characteristic of the therapeutic triad is known as warmth or unconditional positive regard. In the text, they explain that this communication to the client, this communicates to the client that the therapist genuinely cares for them, respects them, and likes them. It states that this approach isn't dependent on the client, but rather the unconditional and allowing the ability to talk freely without the fear of being judged by the therapist. And I found that to be present with in Mariah's case, because the counselor, he was very he seemed like a very well approachable individual that you would just be comfortable, you know, going in and speaking to him, even though you might not know him personally. I found that the counselor encouraged Mariah to consider herself and consider her feelings and her issues. He showed empathy, and specifically he showed advanced empathy, which can be defined as the ability of the counselor to understand and reflect feelings or issues that the client is unaware of, which is found in our textbook again. I found this counselor to be an example of this because he asks her to consider herself. He asks different activities that she can complete within the week to consider herself. He brings up the patterns of her going along with things, and he asks why she's doing this, and then he explains that he understands, and he explains why she may need to change these behaviors because they may be unhealthy for her as an individual. The theoretical orientation that I found the counselor to be using is the person-centered theory of Carl Rogers, which he explains that unconditional positive regard, empathy, and genuineness are key terms of person-centered therapy that describes the therapeutic relationship. When these conditions exist, the client then feels comfortable enough to make real change. Rogers believes that if